Colello species value nature system is about theater with the news and with entities that pretend that that's science and then have to pretend that they take it personal when that's noted it's not science, because crime acts aren't let reported and sequence shifts aren't let reported, and then they keep pretending to be able to interpret behavior properly. See, we have identity thefts roles with the news and with states and areas originally and progressed in collusion with what was his inter-internation, three inters, because it's exploiting the value-nature relationship that our nature has to itself as three simultaneous natures of value transfer in relationship to the identity of existence, which is inherent nature of volume gaining, which is an active nature of volume, is value gaining, and which is a progression's value gaining simultaneously, further as a positive or negative relationship to the complete identity of itself, which is unceasingly conjunction to all temporary, lasting, complete identities of value, nature, progression. And so, in other words, the value of all semi-nature progressions too. So our body has cells that are semi-nature relationship to the organs and to the body's greater identity. It's with the cell nucleus, cell body, cell wall, and they're sharing the identity that is value before and after this as five semi-natures of itself that are completely only going to stay one nature of positive value nature progression, which has a relationship to positive and negative value nature, which is both positive and negative value nature are temporary positive nature. But this is as a quality of diffusion too. So when you can't legalize things, internation criminal enterprises has been and is. And what that does is cause it causes criminal insidiousness nature. I'm not a lawyer, I'm not a police foreman, I'm not a criminal. As a relationship that our identity has, not only onto our physical parts of our body, but onto our nature, and that is per the complete nature of our nature, which is also nature of relationship to itself, which is also simultaneously a value nature relationship as a semi-nature, our complete nature of value, like every complete nature of value, even the ones all together, all finite, active, and all progressive values at once are still bonded further as one semi-nature relationship to the complete identity of space and of existence and of its relationship to itself with and as that. As the value of the Trinity, the value of the identity shared by the Trinity, Allah. The value shared by Yin Yang, Allah. See, these sciences were one because they revealed English with and as the value of nations before their criminal re-engineering. They realized that pantheism was about the identity of existence / space and demonstration to the many nations of our species, which is a manifest Trinity value as sexes and species, and demonstration of the overall Trinity nature is inseparable from each part of itself, of as anywhere there is an existence, an identity of value progression, even conceptual ones, which are invisible but still discernible. Even physical ones that are invisible that are still discernible, like oxygen and like carbon monoxide, and like their relationship to itself, which is an identity that is bonded, inseparable from everything. It only expands here as positive value nature, further positive onto itself, an expanding nature of volume, that is the value of temporary lasting space nature, or it is forced from here as negative value nature, length of hadiths, volume in relationship to the complete identity of space, which is again only capable of coming into and staying its identity as the value of temporary space nature by having it manifest 5 inseparable semi-natures of value progression. So we are a value transfer that is positive or negative in relationship to this identity of nature. That is the subject of the campus Marsyas, criminally re-engineered since semi-ancient times. So the sciences share an identity. So sciences share an identity, and this identity is further positive or negative onto itself. In other words, even the identity of the campus Marsyas is inseparable from the identity of the other sciences. This is why the predicate act is with the law, demonstrating our identities negative, simultaneously, inherently, actively, and progressively negative relationship to itself. While the predicate of English, where the sciences share the identity simultaneously, in other words, as simultaneous nature. An identity is in the simultaneous nature to see how the identity of existence / space is a simultaneous nature. Completely as the identity of space and completely as the identity of existence, and completely as their identity of relationship to each other, which is forced by their semi as a complete nature. They too have a semi-nature relationship to the complete identity of existence / space perfect value progression. Allah. Now, this is left to right with science, and as life and death and forever nature can be revealed to be taught by English, simultaneously as value distinctly left to right, but simultaneously in relationship to right to left value and to overall up value, which is in our control, like to an extent, like the individual, sexes, and baby, but the species is not in our control. Top down, overall down. As far as we go out, we can never have leverage that way here. In other words, we're talking about Earth's distinct value, not just in relationship to us as immediate space nature, but as life as immediate space nature in relationship to 3 natures of volume: inherent, active, and progressive. In other words, we're closer to the inherent nature of volume, which is closest to one of 2 natures of volume of the 5 that are before and beyond and after, where physics comes into value is only value because what was is greater than physical space, all the way to the left. It's then as all the way left to right nature before, and then with us inside that, all the way right to left same time. That's why we have leverage ground up or not, positive or negative relationship to when we have ground. We have that as positive, temporary positive. That's why we have temporary positive life, right to left and left to right, for leverage, not only for physical leverage. In other words, there's an identity and demonstration to us. That's why we have a physical value nature transfer that is simultaneously inherent, active, and progressive, and their relationship to themselves at the same time is a quality of diffusion. Life is a quality of diffusion. So we're coming to the engineering of our nature as subject. And I forgot what word else was. But the campus Martius is simultaneously inherent, active, and progressive, complete body of value relationship with the sciences as the shared identity, then further simultaneously, unceasingly, a positive value nature progressions in evolutionary and environmental change, or negative value nature progressions, environmental change. The only reason the environment is the phenomenon of being involved with this is because overall comes from before what is always down. Then it is space nature as a value nature within values nature, even though how big space is. Because it is the identity that was the creation of all parts of itself that bonded. It's a diffusion through itself that bonded matter distinctly here and there because we're close to the inherent nature of volume, which is a semi-nature with. We'll examine this. So with the ancientgamingsystem.com and with https://www.youtube.com/user/Romulus Wall. I guess all you have to do is write youtube.com/user/Romulus Wall. And it fills in the HTTPS. I'm not a computer guy. English is about, even computer sciences share this relationship. This is about the algorithm is about our identity's relationship to itself simultaneously, inherently, actively, and progressively as a nature. And as a simultaneous nature unto itself, with that also conditioned by what was invisible but still discernible, complete nature relationship to that and to us and to all things at once as a semi-nature, where each semi-nature is value to it. So that's why that value is forced to gain here as the cause of evolution, as the cause of evolution, environmental change, or is forced to be forced from here. And that is a negative value nature progression relationship, not only to the identity of existence / space, but and not only perpetually, in other words, progressively, better and better to be forged as temporary positive, also lasting positive, forever nature as identity. Identity is a forever nature. And this is the course. See that you can't justify using ground as negative and other ulterior from this value nature systematic science without having the science of existence demonstrate negative value nature progressions, acts and natures, acts like predicate acts, natures like wrongdoers, like criminal insidiousness nature, a wrongdoing. So we come to the organized crime method that tactically criminally re-engineered the campus Martius in semi-ancient times because they knew they could build modern nations as Oz, as identities of value, as our justifying and exploiting and investing that way in other words, the value of our species, for example. And they knew that would cause them to have to hide lie progressions with areas and states, maintain needing to hide, as roles as an identity of negative value nature progression in relationship to databases. So that would be all lie progression cover-up natures, needing to hide from correlation natures means to discern this, needing to hide from free speech, which is recorded, not let, in other was pretended since founding, or trick fact treatment natures. All kinds of ways. And to understand this, you have to understand how everyone was raised not to think, especially the evaluation of the correlation nature of kids. The same people are telling them not to think about things that are adult, are the people hiding how branches and areas were originally and are progressed, juxtaposed with overt criminal enterprises and with legalized ones that you can't legalize without, that is, in other words, the devil knew this was going to cause negative value nature progressions. See, the suits and ties nations and the counters to them were all forced to be defenses, force relied upon, not just to hurt and kill everyone, but to keep everyone blaming the wrong things. Boxing, the science of sharing identity. I tell you things, boxing, lost course returns. They must drop the force. They must let speak source who learns. So the news has to pretend now that they don't like me. They have to hide their premises, and because they have to sequence shift, because they have what are called the predicate act roles as wrongdoing. I'm not sure if theirs are also as actual predicate acts, but I know there are male crimes, and they attach me to fake people associated with them, and on and off the records, attach me to fake conversations about the Trade Center agreement, especially with psychology and police and interbranch with psychology tied to them. They've been stealing identities, preventing people from free speech in courts, telling them not to speak after confessions so they could use that time to attach people to fake conversations. In other words, this is not because they're warning people, don't say anything about because you could incriminate yourself more or something like that. They're pretending people, they're forging and making fake arrests into courts databases. The news is attaching us multi-front at the same time simultaneously to fake conversations, to fake ties to others, and not letting the criminality recorded with those people. Just because someone's in a court doesn't mean they're not recorded criminally foreign influence, having been used for crimes as kids, which is recorded. That's why you don't steal someone's voice. You let each side have a in other words, they said things they told me. They made a fake arrest with one officer. They have a whole bunch of other officers from different towns for the same arrest, which wasn't even at the location, because then they had a promise to appear. So they involved CCSU on-campus police, then with an East Hartford officer, who was on campus at the time, Officer McDonald's, and they brought a promise to appear. They'd already been involved with harassment of my mother into branch. She's not going to complain about that. This is for years. This is with federal criminals that were proven after I graduated. For years, were lying about my father because they were co-defendants in a 2006 case. For example, a part of a case in 2006 with former director of the FBI, and they lost in a case years ago after I graduated school, but was going through the time an NLRB, National Labor Relations Board case. they lost that. LaConch family is also recorded, confessed, involved with Webb School, criminally involved now with the other Wethersfield schools and with the fire departments, which they would rather have me go into that than have me counter the fake conversations, the fake arrests, the fake relationships to others they put me in, especially including the people in the courts. And especially when I was a kid, they attached me to people that I don't even know, tied to on all sides of the high school and on next to other schools with the same cliques with drugs and with database solution stack and identity thefts. So they let people like the Mendez brothers and like the Domain brothers sell drugs and pretend things with others, with girls towards Mulcahy's. I never had a conversation, never had a class with, was in the presence of Allison Mulcahy and her sister and her family. They're recorded, confessed, involved with New Britain Suprior Court, Hartford Court, Middletown courts, and stuff like that. Connecticut District Court with this clique criminally involved. And with other federal criminals tied to them, they had one with one of the co-defendants from the 2006 case who had lost in the original case. I forgot his name. And he were co-defendants in the 2006 case. I was there. It was a former director of the FBI, Robert Luskin, was co-defendant. Wasn't supposed to have his lawyer. Wasn't supposed to have Attorney Chevrolet, be his executive counsel or whatever, his lawyer. He did that. Used the see, these are people involved with not just with the harassment of me, but the slander of me, but the extortion of me, because I've been trying to report since 2000 confessions related to them, related to their crimes with court, police, and judges retired and standing involved with their state judicial branch offices and with a Hartford court used for a deposition because of the former director of the FBI. This is a former standing chairperson on RICO law. These was a relationship to an ongoing civil pro se RICO, Racketeering Influence Corrupt Organization Act. These are also people that helped them delay and further criminality with that when my father died while it was still ongoing at that time. But in other words, they did that. These are people against me now who need to lie to the attorney general. So they've been using state's attorneys to stack databases with lies, identity thefts, faked arresting officers, those are predicate acts, because these are also people recorded and confessed with drug crimes with a Leahy family and with doctors also tied to the New Britain Suprior Court, other natures of courts, and other natures of the same court, Hartford, Middletown, other natures of court to other ages, like Jeremy Grohl and some of Vigerio also recorded and confessed they were raised as victims of courts with judges against kids criminally, involved with drugs criminally, involved with their family member, their extended family members, like Delafiero families and stuff like that, associated with that, and with they stack names and they don't allow response. See, the news is fake. Then they're pretending theater is because they want to be able to speak, the way they're told. In other words, they're being told, directed to pull off criminal and serious nature, to hide their actual nature, to hide their criminality. Now, these are people involved with the elderly homes criminally. They're just needing to cover up lie progressions and to keep adapting with areas of states. That's why we have you have areas of our nations that were never, it's not, you can't, science never spoke for them. Science never worse than never spoke for them is pretending to have been speaking for them, and to be speaking for them. We have no legal representation. We have no legal representation per cultural treatments, because cultural is a clear value. There's no law that says we have to respect. There's laws that say you have to, like, in other words, you can't respect other people. It doesn't say you have to respect culture, in other words, and people aren't even responsible for the culture. We only have states and areas as the range we are in control of. And we have now modern nations, all states and areas, forcing fact treatment nature, natures of logic, natures of fact treatment nature, natures of sequence treatment nature, natures of treatment of the value of our species. They have predatory education, consciously maintained, using time, using space on off campuses as a crime method, a breaching front roles, and making more of them against especially all areas, but with the same minority of people. But there are a lot of people in the area, so it's necessary to list out like 100 people, because that's how they're exploiting positions in relationships to the databases, and relationships to departmental positions, integrity gleaned in relationships to job titles that never had integrity. You can't, in other words, all modern nations are in the same identity of negative value nature progression, lethal IDs, forced space nature transfer, forced loss of positive value nature progression evolution. It's ridiculous. We're in home styles built before they had cars by psycho crazy laws, breaching organized crime method, white and black. That's what they look like. The blacks of eyes, the pupils of eyes, the whites of eyes. We are all white and black. They making, when you even enter, in other words, trick fact treatment nature. It's very simple. And when you have people pretend it's not, their premises are very simple to demonstrate, but the same ones are not demonstrated through time. We have news that is threatening and torturing me through time, making it harder and harder, because they're stacking up natures of crime acts members, people they're talking to behind my back. They don't even know me. You know what I'm saying? They lie. They attach me and my family to fake conversations. They're with male crime roles, sex crime roles, even the courts recorded and confess using their Facebook page, using on-off CCSU roles with all kinds of police, private, foreign, domestic. Disgusting. So we need to have WFSB. They're also recorded using Mendez brothers and stuff with the Yagman brothers and their neighbors, recorded and confessed involved with drug crimes when I was a freshman, identity theft crimes. The only reason I didn't push to have a response to me filming that before and after one of the campus drug dealers who didn't even go to our school selling drugs right on campus involved with these people. This is also recorded and confessed with the Main brothers involved with crimes with my with the Mendez brothers and with drug dealing associated with the school police. I'm not saying they're drug dealing, but those narratives and the rackets, they're being used with class placements, and they have people, they have the cliques that all have different access to drugs, but those are all connected, and they're using that to maintain life progression cover-up natures, all fakes. They do this fake care, violence, identity theft, slanders. It's a polarity racket game too, because they're using overt criminal enterprises too, like Los Solitos, Latin Kings, juxtaposed with the area, or organized crime bodies, with like, you know, I don't want to say Italian ones because of the nature of how where they are recorded criminally involved, like with the Fienza family. This is with the news, with crimes with them too. It's also with the state judicial branch offices recorded and confessed involved criminally, and with other houses in my town involved criminally with the body spot dumping of Billy Grasso and crimes with forensics with that and people associated with the Fienza family, like a Dillon family, he recorded and confessed involved with criminally that are now recorded and confessed involved with my new and past neighbors too, with child offenders and with courts and their roles with undercover. So now instead of letting me have voice, they need to keep directing offensive evidence, reception crimes, violence, and things so they can pretend to misinterpret behavior. You see what I'm saying? So they're pretending they're with a crime method, uncharged, making it pretending that they're reading with no passions, and then they're faking passions when they have to have a mentality, a nature of delivering news that is being to torture people that they're writing fake news against, to torture people that they're stealing their voices against. They're lying about my Facebook page. They're lying about my YouTube page. And they say, oh, block the person. This is more serious because I need a response because they're waiting. They're intercity with crimes because they're trying to delay with the statute of limitations and stuff like that. But that's not going to work because I'm asking them. It's all connected. I know it's connected. They know it's connected. They know I can just demonstrate. So fix the fake news. That's not. You can't just because the news was fake in the past. And I've been consistently asking to report predicate acts since the Trade Center attack on off campuses in collusion. They're pretending to make mistakes on purpose. This is tied to their treatments of Cohen because the court police and the judges retired and standing also recorded involved with crime methods, exploiting how all kinds of police forms are juxtaposed with stripper joints and stuff like that, and with the women that pretend that they're about free speech, but they're not. In other words, because you can't be barred of those places which are overtly criminally foreign influence. In other words, you could. That's recorded too, but we have to go in sequence to demonstrate that. Like there's a girl who named Bobby Jean or whatever. She had a red BMW. I've never been in it. On Covington Street, recorded and confessed involved with crimes with interbranch and foreign and interstate and worse with fire departments, federal criminals, shipping police criminally involved, their family members. See, by having everyone's family members and stuff like that, they're covering live progressions, and they have positions with the departments of the colleges criminally used. I don't know if there's a Luigi Guerra and his sister recorded and confessed criminally involved with a Maiano family and a Paulzano. People involved with them with fake news, with crimes with the courts and the campuses, with crimes with the area of, and with the people associated with the state judicial branch offices criminally. A house associated with one of the houses associated criminally with the Fienzas on 2 Route Highway. Across the street from it, a Sal Civilo was pretending I had conversations. Kathy Tanzi was pretending I had conversations with him about the CIA. Eric Jensen and her, they're recorded and confessed involved with crimes with military families and with police forms, state police and Wethersfield police in my area, with identity thefts, evidence crimes. And those are also people associated with the confessions recorded about their roles and threats and extortion acts associated with the body dumping of Billy Grasso and their roles with retired and standing judges in the state judicial branch offices with that. These are also people associated with crimes in the trade center context from Connecticut, and they've been with predicate act roles since to hide that. The police admitted that, and people tied to them admitted that Colello is involved with identity thefts with them, pretending through time that he had conversations with me. He tried to act like that was true with passion crimes from a distance. And, in one place came up to me inside a Burger King trying to get me arrested because they're associated with the police forms. But that doesn't make them true. They're criminally foreign influenced. They're recorded and confessed with crimes with Los Solitos, with other drugs and stuff like that, with crimes with cliques with the Hartford Hospital. Look at the houses next to Hartford Hospital. They lead right onto the street. And then look at then they glorify Foxct, Fox Connecticut News is communicating that they're hiding, like they let some people see their Facebook page, their Twitter page, and like WFSB blocks my posts on there because, in other words, they're torturing me. They're with extortion acts, say nothing about their fake news, identity thefts, attaching me to the fake conversations in relationships to a girl that was recorded involved with drug crime cliques and identity theft crime cliques and database crime cliques when I was in high school. Christine Tardet. I was anything but polite to her. And she's involved criminally with this Mayano family, involved criminally with the news and with these courts, and with this Dillon family, through and others in my area that they grew up with, but not with me. I didn't know John Mayano until they made a fact cheat me nature racket after they graduated. I shouldn't have. They had it. They make people have to react to things A or B. In other words, and they're making fake sides. In other words, why they really maybe stayed back for a speech class was recorded because they were involved with drug crimes with the people that were put in my places with identity theft crimes, evidence crimes. But those are people that were associated with federal criminals, associated with agencies criminally involved through time. We have a whole bunch of other nations' police here. We have overt criminal enterprises juxtaposed with that. We have the branches and them and all that, exploiting that together. Then they pretend, if there's a crime, they don't care about crimes. They have like a vacuum cleaner into prison on exploited areas. That, like with CCSU, also recorded with family members, like with the English. I never had a conversation with him. I asked him if he knew Johnny Dew. He said he doesn't like him. It has nothing to do with him. A Galucci guy with the educational department, also recorded and confessed by the police, demonstrated by the police involved with their crimes with the kids and with the sex offenders. See, they're trying to start fights because they need not to have the rules followed, because they already didn't do it. They already switched names into branch, even judges switching sequences, crime acts roles with fake arresting officers, stacking database illusions through time since I was a kid. So now they've been using state's attorneys too, and the state's attorney's office then criminally with that. Now they have to hide that from the attorney generals. You see what I'm saying? The states and areas of criminal collusion. We're gonna have to get their names because the state lawyers switch names too. It's very bad because they are all following title care for. They don't care about anything. They don't care about integrity. They've been sick with those courts originally and still. They're pretending about prejudice because they're pseudo-positive nature. They don't care about real acts, real nature discernment, real, in other words. They want to make little of everyone have opinions about people they don't even know, even though they see them on YouTube. Deal about the acts what I'm speaking about. They need to he's a liar. They're saying this when people recorded, switching things. They say, well, where's the evidence? Part of the evidence is them making evidence mistakes on purpose because the police were with rape threats before this, messaged and posted on Facebook. Then they're blocking me and they're writing while I'm blocked because they want me just to block the person because they want to just stay ignoring and then pretend statute of limitations. Since the Trade Center attack, since that context, and then before it too, other ways, I was trying to make a demonstration about crime acts, and I was getting my identity stolen more and more. When you try to do this in this city, then they have people make confessions and demonstrations to in other cities. Yeah, in other words, and they're maintaining areas criminally for, they're maintaining victim predators with overt criminal enterprises, unrealized ones, private ones, and sick branches juxtaposed on the north end of Hartford, on Park Street. Lena's Pizza, recorded and confessed criminally involved with this detective Samuda. People tied to him. Identity thefts. They had that involved with a racket where they had a real or fake wedding where had all these the previous boyfriends of Magdalena there. And we went there because we didn't go to the wedding. We went to like some after party before or something like that. She pretended another Alicia, who had been one complaining about the roles with the drugs and the police trying to and the courts that were trying to make them make positions into databases, into cases. They weren't supposed to be communicating per a judge, but then that's their means to pretend they're looking at records criminally foreign influence. In other words, I don't even know the name of that person because the courts are involved with preventing. The New Britain Suprior Courts said that they were going to use a detective Samuda to make up fake arresting stuff, and with more East Hartford officers and stuff like that involved criminally with them. Make up more lies with them, with people who went to my school growing up. Involved criminally with John Mayao, his family. Involved further criminals with this. In other words, these are people. I never had a conversation at all with, and other people that pretend they knew me before they did. Sequence shifting is a systemic problem with all these fake liars. We have elections crimes that if you pretend they're not criminally foreign influence, you know where you're measured. You're lying to yourself. We don't have free elections. How can we have free elections when anybody who's not running on faith in other people's words not have voice? You know, and anyone they hurt whoever can demonstrate what was really wrong. Fake sciences, especially with North End of Hartford, especially with the concentration on Park Street because of the medical corruption, because of its roles with the corruption at on and off campuses, interbranch police, foreign families maintain the reaction where our police have to pretend because then they'll get penalized at huge economic levels in ways at the Trade Center agreement. Because there and here, our students need to be kept safe. But they know that and they're exploiting a crime method that is being maintained on and off campuses criminally foreign influenced and needing to stay hid by all the roles in relationship to databases and into the departmentals as what is really motivating natures of positive beliefs, who's right for that and that. This is in relationship to Jobs' value nature system that is tactical ulterior from the value nature system that causes evolution, what is true all ways and also true as exception nature, where the exceptions are not denied. That's positive, is also positive relationship to itself. That's why it causes evolution. That's what causes reliefs from negative value nature progressions. Yes. So please subscribe to the YouTube channel of Anthony Walla. youtube.com/user/Romulus Wall. youtube.com/user/Romulus Wall. One word. It's for you all. Those courts returns. They must drop the force. Who learned? So this is tied to a sequence shift in the Ninth Circuit. Proven. The Ninth Circuit Manhattan Trade Center attack context. So it's recorded that Connecticut courts are using sequence shifts and identity thefts per their roles with interstate cliques, like a Scalora family that pretended to know me in the past and pretended to have conversations with me in the past. They're recorded and confessed with crime rolls with the Fred Grisey. I recorded, who was a stranger, made all the confessions to me out of nowhere because he lived right in front of the high school, but he went to another school involved with houses involved with the corner of Highcrest and all the corners of it with the child sex offender principal campus. They arrested me for trying to report sex crime acts and abuses of the kids that they still hid by charging me with harassment for calling the guy back who kept calling and making confessions. And then he got arrested for something else with sex offender. The paper reported that he was with upskirts and he has a sexual problem. He said, you don't know if he's torturing them too, because his doctor was also recorded and confessed with predicate act rules and with child sex crime act rules, crimes with the Facebook pages of his school and of other schools. Further, with the middle school, there are judges and retired and standing and doctors retired and standing, people associated with them, like a Dr. Graham. She has recorded physical delusion, recorded criminal nature involved with child sex offenders. Further, Phil Colello was also recorded confessed. I don't remember the guy's Bob Chase. I don't remember the other people's names involved. Recorded and confessed involved with the crimes with the Christine Bedard, and when she was in high school, recorded in relationship to her roles with the drug dealers who they used for identity theft, evidence crimes. I had only thing I ever had to do with her. I was in what's it called? A cooking class, and John Mallon also recorded and confessed her involved with criminality with that. So we have bad people standing in courts. We have men and women, other ones her age, I don't even know, that were used to slander me through time. They were used to spread rumors about other people while they were using the drugs to keep everyone pretending they were with their, cooler than and stuff like that. And they do tricks where they punch you, where you don't see where it's coming. You don't know who it is. You know what I'm saying? And then you're not. Then you see the person, but you don't know who it is. And it's like they do that, whole groups, and then those people pretend they know you because they're being. In other words, I don't even know their names. People that pretend to know me because they're directing people to spread rumors. That's how this Dillon family is even had the nerve to demonstrate he's involved with my. Recorded involved with my new and past neighbors, with the child sex offenders, and with some guy with that, in other words, other natures of crime. The guy with a motorcycle they put in my driveway. With violence now, because I've been asking you guys, follow the rules. You don't ignore mandated law. They're using Facebook pages to ignore mandated law. They're using the media. When the media blocks you on Facebook, when you get blocked on Facebook, then you can't post on the media's regular website either. You see, they're with so many news crimes. These people are so sick. See, but there are police forms associated with them. Maybe that's with the people who are speaking too. I'm sick of talking about it, and I'm sick of having to. They need to fix the fake news real fast, real fast, and get the detective Smoot and put in jail. because he never arrested me. He needed a fake arrest. Get the Officer Magnanos put in jail. Get his wife for they're still abusing my kids. This recorded. I'm going to talk about the acts in order from the first time they do it into the ones now. They know they're doing it now too. And I want the rest of the names of the officers on and off campus with things. Let's go. Vaccines. I'll tell you so. They all retired and standing interbranch in trouble now. Mess with me. Mess with everybody.